Hello, this is Mr. Tipton, and today we are talking about slope. Slope is just the measure of how steep a line is. There are different ways to describe and to figure slope. Here's a few of them. You may hear the rise over the run of a line on a graph. Basically what that breaks down to mathematically is how are the y's changing over, divided by, how are the x's changing. This triangle, it's a symbol that represents the change in y, or the change over the change in x. Alright, the formula to figure slope when you know a couple of points is right here. y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. These subscript 1s and 2s are just identifying points. Like this is over here, this is the x and the y from point number 1, and on the right are the x and y from point number 2. Okay, you'll see what I'm talking about when we get into some examples. Here are a couple of graphs. Now, by looking at them, can you tell which one has a greater slope? Hopefully you can. It's this one over here. This one's greater. Okay, the line is steeper, so the slope is greater. Now, let's figure out the slope. It's easiest to figure out the slope when you find pretty points on the graph that the data line goes through. Okay, right here on the left graph, we've got a point at 8,1 and a point at 9,3. Okay, the first thing we talked about was the rise over run on the other screen. The change in y over the change in x. Rise over run. Rise over run. Okay, from one point to the other, and I usually, you should read a line left to right. Okay, so this slope is positive, it's increasing. How much does it go up from one point to another? It goes up 2. It goes up from 1 to 3. Now the x-axis, how much does it run? What is the change in x from 8 to 9? Just 1. Okay, we'll always reduce, so our slope, which a lot of times is represented by the letter m, is 2. 2 over 1 is 2. Graph on the right, again, we're looking for points on the graph where the line crosses nice and pretty. And now we'll figure our rise over run, our change in y over our change in x. How are the y's changing from 3 to 4 by 1? And how do the x's change from 2 to 4 by 2? Okay, so graph on the left has a slope of 2. Graph on the right has a slope of 1/2. The slope of the line on the left is greater. It would be more fun to sled down. Okay, greater slope. Alright, so that's looking at a graph and figuring slope. Now let's do it without a graph, where we just have the ordered pairs of the points. On the first screen we talked about y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. I'm going to call this point 1 and this point 2. It does not matter which one is which. You'll get the same answer either way. Alright, the y of my first point is 4, minus the y of my second point is 5. The x of my first point is 2. The x of my second point is 6. So we have 4 minus 5 is equal to -1. And 2 minus 6 is equal to -4. And we're going to simplify. Negative divided by negative is positive 1/4. So my slope is 1/4. If we were messing with a graph, we would know that from point to point it would go up 1 and then over 4, heading in a positive direction. But that's how you figure slope when you know 2 points. Here's another one. y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. It's like we have 26 minus negative 1 over 73 minus negative 11. And you know, I'm going to rewrite these in OSC form. One sign combined. 26 plus 1 over 73 plus 11. It's going to give us 27 over, what is that, 84? Is that right? 27 84ths. Let's see. What goes into 27 and 84? I think, because you need to simplify. Always reduce. I think we can divide by 3 and get 9. Oh, 28ths for a slope. Well, kind of an ugly slope, but that's okay. That's okay. 9/28ths would be the slope. So between 2 points on a graph, we would go up 9 times, and we would go over to the right 28 times. Yeah? Okay. Let's move on to the next example. This one's a little different. It says a line with a slope of 10 passes through the points -8, x, and -7, 8. What is the value of x? So here we know the slope, but we are looking for one of the ordered pairs. Okay, if we had a graph, we could throw it on a graph, but we're going to learn how to do this mathematically. For x1 minus x2, and it equals our slope, which we know this time. All right, I'm going to make this 0.1 and 0.2. So 0.1, we've got x minus 8 over -8 minus -7. And it all equals 10. Be careful there. The -8 minus -7, okay, that's negative there, but our formula has subtracting, so we are subtracting a negative, which I'm going to end up rewriting anyway because I hate 2 signs in a row. That's going to be a +7 is equal to 10. Alright, we're just going to simplify and solve. We got to get x by itself. So first I want to take care of that denominator. -8 plus 7 is -1. And now I'm going to get rid of that denominator by multiplying. I'm dividing by -1, so I'm going to multiply both sides by -1. And I'm going to come up here now. So I'm going to end up with, because these are going to, the negative ones will cancel on the left. And that was a terrible line. Try again. We have x minus 8 on the left, and on the right we have -10. To get x by itself, we've got to add 8, and what you do to one side, you must do to the other side. -10, +8 gives us -2 for our value of x. So that would be the other, the y coordinate of that ordered pair. Alright, so kind of a little bit to keep track of there, but just show your work like you have to anyway. And make sure you're doing the negatives right. Not too bad. Oh, that's it. Alright, well, if you have questions, keep track of them. Be ready to talk about them in class. We'll see you soon.